Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining our entertainment masterclass. This session is called From the Villa to the Jungle. And I actually realised I should have put a pit stop in the castle in that title. But we're going to be focusing on Love Island and I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. I'm Kat Hebden and I head up development for Lifted. And I'm just going to start by introducing my amazing panel. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. I'm going to start with Tom Gould, who is creative director at Lifted for I'm a Celebrity and Love Island. Mike Spencer, executive producer for Love Island. Mickey Van Prague, who's our head of on-screen talent at Lifted. Snoochie Shy, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Radio DJ, TV personality, and importantly, I'm a Celebrity campmate. And then we've got Chris Mannion, who is trials producer for I'm a Celebrity, and Rochelle Harvey, who is a casting researcher on Love Island. Thank you, everyone. So one of the reasons I thought it would be interesting to focus on these two shows was really the sheer scale of them and their ability, I suppose, to deliver audiences year on year. I'm a Celebrity is one of the biggest reality shows across all channels. And despite it being in, I think it's series number 22 this year, Tom, it still attracts some of the biggest audiences across television. And interestingly, it's also ITV's biggest entertainment series for 16 to 34-year-olds. So really massive young audience there. Love Island is the biggest reality show on TV for 16 to 34-year-olds, and that includes streamers. And last year averaged 4.3 million across 49 episodes in total audience, which is pretty incredible. And also last year saw one of its biggest series on ITV Hub with an average audience of 2.1 viewing it there. So interestingly, more viewers per rep are watching it on the Hub than on linear TV. And so I'll start with you, Tom, because you're across both shows. In a world, I suppose, where younger audiences are turning away from linear TV, how do you retain younger audiences on these big, long-running shows, and why is that important?
Well, I think it's obviously important because that younger audience are commercially valuable and they're so sought after by advertisers. But I think it's also important because it shows that with the right content, you can attract the younger demographic to linear TV. So I guess essentially it's sort of helping to future-proof TV audiences. And they're clearly two very, very different shows. And I think there are different reasons why they both attract that audience. But I think there are also some factors that they share that may help to explain it. They're both fast turnaround stripped reality shows. So they're essentially live event TV. And I think that encourages the conversation around the shows, particularly on social media. So if you aren't watching live, you can't be part of that conversation. And I think that's such an important driver of viewer engagement. But I guess both shows, they have to still create the sort of content that people want to talk about.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a Celeb does that by taking a cast of celebrities, which sort of gives you an immediate shortcut in terms of viewer interest, and puts them in a basic camp stripped of luxuries where they have to cope with hunger and face their fears. Love Island obviously doesn't have the head start that a celebrity cast gives you, but I think its appeal is that it's so relatable. You know, viewers relate to the scenarios they see happening in the villa, and because they can relate to them, they have an opinion about them. And I think that's a big part of what drives the success of that show and the response on social. So casting on both shows is clearly key. The cast, it has to engage viewers to keep them coming back night after night. And it's the cast that keeps both shows fresh from series to series. Storytelling is crucial, especially on Love Island, where we're, carefully structuring the episodes every night to build the drama and jeopardy. And we've got to keep it, we've got to keep the format fresh each series, which we do whilst trying to retain the key elements that people love.
Mm-hmm. And so focusing a little bit on casting, which is obviously key to Love Island, and you talk about casting a sort of really relatable cast. Mike, can you tell us how you kick off this process every year to start the casting for Love Island?
Yeah, it's a massive job casting a show like Love Island today. Firstly, our kind of brief that we set out is always try to be representative of the UK today. We really try and find unique characters, and ultimately people all have to be looking for love. So we have an amazing team. Rosh is part of our team. She has been the last couple of series, alongside a few other kind of researchers, APs and producers who all kind of kick off for this series in January. And it will be a mix of applications. So people that apply, we have a very high number, very lucky to have a high number of applications every year. We also target, so we head out on the streets. We have teams out at the moment, so probably coming to a student union near you. They kind of head out around the UK looking for this year's kind of cast of the show. And also things like Instagram and social media. It has been, like Tom said, crucial. A crucial part of the growth of our show, but also with casting, it is absolutely crucial. So a real big combination, really.
Do you have a brief that's set by the channel, or is it something that evolves every year? Do you look for the same thing every year, or is it always different?
No, I think we do look for something different every year. I mean, I like to think I've been on the show since the first series alongside Tom, and I think if you've seen the show for that long, you would have noticed maybe the cast have almost evolved. We've had celebrity connections, people related to different celebrities. We've had really amazing job roles. We've had doctors, we've had nurses, we've had, a real great cross section of jobs, I like to think, across the series. So I think today it's not set. We don't have like a set brief from the network. We don't set a particular brief. We're just looking to find the biggest and best characters for the show, people that we can relate to as viewers. So when we're watching across the summer, we're invested in the story. We're invested in people falling in love and people breaking up. I do like that as well.
It's good drama. And Michelle, relatable. Michelle, were you a runner on last year's series, and this time this series you're a casting researcher. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that role involves?
Yeah, I mean, I think last year especially was so different. Especially as a runner, we were doing a lot of auditions over Zoom and things like that. And so as a runner, I was the first person they'd met, even though they'd spoken to a few people at this point when they were coming in. So you're really kind of the face of Love Island. So it's kind of nice for them to have like that familiarity when they come in. This year, very much like researching, helping find people, kind of hand-holding them a little bit through the process. I think people don't realise it is quite a lengthy process to get onto the show. And so it's very much like just take each step as it comes, chatting them through that. But it's really good. The amount of people that you speak to and like so different people is phenomenal.
And do you know, I've always wanted to know this, do you know when you've actually found, do you know immediately when you found someone who's literally going to be a superstar? Do you have a sort of instant, or is it more of a process and then you sort of piece the jigsaw together?
I think when you found someone special. Some people just, oh my life's gone out of the room. Some people just jump out at you, and their personality is infectious. Like you want to talk to them more, get to know them more, and they just shine. But I don't think you can ever truly know how well someone's going to be received on TV. But some people just stand out like a million miles, and you're like, I need to get this person through because they're incredible.
Mike, what makes someone a really good caster? What do you look for someone? What do you look for when you're hiring a team?
I think it's the passion, like Rosh has. It's the passion to succeed. It's the passion to find, the perfect islander. It's the drive. I know on previous shows that I've worked on, I've always, especially coming up the ranks, I've always wanted to kind of bring home the bacon, just like, deliver the goods, find those people that, deserve to be on TV. There's so many people that you meet in life. You think, and I think if I go to Tesco, I think I meet someone at the checkout and I'm like, my God, you'd be great on Gogglebox. And I have to stop myself and go, it's nothing to do with you. Just go away, move on. Let's Sally do her thing at the checkout. But I just think there's so many amazing people. So I think as a team, having that drive, having that will to kind of bring home amazing people. And also, I think it's people that really take some kind of joy and pride out of seeing those people go on telly and knowing that they have found them.
And Rochelle, is there any advice you'd give to someone sort of just starting out who wants to sort of look at casting as a career role?
Yeah, I mean, I think like any people skills are great to have. You are constantly on the phone to people trying to get information about themselves out. So just any real good people skills are always fantastic. And don't be shy. We do things like street casting, and you have to just go up to random people, and not having that fear, I think, will kind of bring you forward in anything. And just doing your research as well. If there's shows that you absolutely love and you think, yeah, I could do that, find out who's heading up the production, and say, I've admired you for a long time and I'm really good with people, I love chatting to them, and I really think I could be good in a casting role. Don't be afraid to kind of put yourself out there.
And is being a runner a good way in to sort of overview what a process?
100%. Like, you are with absolutely everyone all of the time, whether that's the team, the crew, to contributors. So you just get so much experience being a runner, and you get to try so many different things. So runners are integral.
So we've talked a little bit about casting ordinary people, and I guess what Love Island does is takes ordinary people and turns them into celebs. Mickey, you're obviously casting celebs from the off for a show like I'm a Celebrity. How does that differ, if at all?
Well, nobody applies for I'm a Celebrity. No, sadly, no one's applying. Although, Mike, I really hope that when I worked in Asda, if you had come across me, you'd have tried to come to me for one of them.
Yeah, I would have, but I'm not sure if they'd be on Gogglebox. Maybe Love Island, Mickey, to be fair.
Oh, do you know what? I'd have done it. Only if I could be a bombshell. So no, with I'm a Celeb, there's no one applying for it. We reach out to lots of people and we try and have conversations with them and just talk about the show. I mean, aside from nobody applying for the show, I think the process is actually probably quite similar. I mean, Rochelle was saying that casting for Love Island goes on for ages, and it's the same with I'm a Celeb. We're casting year round, and often I could have had a conversation with somebody early in the year. I mean, Snoochie, we met each other, I can't remember, I think it was during the summer, and then it's a long old period where because you're putting together this ensemble cast, so everybody's got to work together, and then often we don't tend to make our decisions until September, October time. So it's a long old process. But when we're talking to people, and I think you're probably the same on Love Island as well, I like to tell people everything that's awful about the show, the worst things about it. And so at least everybody goes in with their eyes wide open. I do remember you screaming a lot in our meeting, Snoochie, when we were talking about
absolutely. Absolutely. I think all my fears was definitely told in the initial meeting. So let's do it. So it's lit.
I love you were screaming before you even went into the castle.
It was just the thought process, but I'm glad I did it though. So yeah.
But I think that's important because you want to make people really sort of understand what they're getting themselves in for, and you want people to really consider it before they agree to take part in the show. So it is making you think about all of those things that sort of scare you about the show.
And how do you make sure they're up for it? Because some of those trials and challenges, and just the whole living in the castle, it's really cold, they go really hungry, like it's really hard, it's really tough.
Yeah, so myself and my team have extensive conversations with everybody about what it is they're putting themselves forward for. And you want people to go away and properly consider it and think about it. And if we're all going to move forward, then there's a really rigorous medical process, both, physically and mentally, to sort of prepare you for it. So at that stage, prior to somebody going in, we know if they're going to be exempt from any trials, or whether we can, adapt our trials so that everybody's able to take part, because the aim is that obviously you want everybody to be able to do everything. So there's a rigorous process there. But while we're on air, things change. People can have injuries or they're not feeling very well. And so every single day we're assessing, how people are, whether they can do certain trials, whether they can do certain things in camp.
And do you get a sort of brief from the channel, or you just how does that work? Do you think about audiences when you're putting celebs together? And I guess it's not just about the most famous people, it's a really good mix, isn't it? How does that work?
Well, we're one of the, I mean, there are lots of things there. So yes, I work really closely with the network each year when we're casting, and we have meetings throughout the year where I update them on the people that I've met, and we sort of decide where we're going to go. I think we all see the show in the same way, and we all think about the cast in the same way, in that we're only on for 3 weeks a year. So you want everybody in that camp to be a treat and a surprise for the audience. It should feel really special. But it is an ensemble cast. We have a really broad audience, and you have to appeal to, every member of your audience. So yes, there are going to be young people that don't know certain members of our cast, from the outset. But that's sort of the beauty of it as well. You're introducing people to a really big mainstream audience. But yeah, I mean, I think, Harry Redknapp's a great example of this in 2018, that I don't think a lot of our younger audience would have been aware of him. But after a couple of days, it doesn't matter. You just fell in love with him. And actually, he was 70 years old, but he felt so youthful when he was in there, and so appealed to a really young audience.
And just specifically for our audience here, how did you become head of on-screen talent? What was your career journey?
God, I mean, I'm not going to tell you all the awful jobs I did. I started in news, so sometimes it's a really weird route to where you end up being. I mean, I never thought I would be head of on-screen talent, but I started in news. Got a little bit bored, wasn't very good at it, I think was probably the main reason that I moved, and then started working on shows like Strictly and Celebrity Big Brother, and I just got into casting that way and absolutely love it. And I mean, there aren't many shows like I'm a Celebrity on TV where you get to put together such a big ensemble cast, so it feels very special.
But speaking of that ensemble cast, Snoochie, you were on the other side of all of that experience, and what was it like for you?
Do you know what? It's actually the best thing that I've ever done. It was. I know there was loads of bugs and stuff.
You didn't say that at the time.
Well, I know, but when you come out, you actually realise it was actually one of the best things that I've done. I think because it challenges you as well, and then you're just in this weird environment that you've never ever I'm never going to be in a coffin with thousands of cockroaches and maggots falling over me, and I'm never going to have to eat a cow's bumhole again. So it's things like that really, but also the other cast members that was in there, I might not have necessarily crossed paths with them in my everyday life. So to actually make friends like that, who you're still in contact with now and having great relationships with, I think that's why also on top of that was one of my, best experiences that I've done. Just the friends that I've got from it as well, because you've all experienced something so crazy together. So yeah.
Was it what you were expecting?
You're like, oh my God, it's so cold. I want to call my mom. I want to go home. But when you come out, you actually realise, wow, it was so fun.
Did you watch the show back when you came out?
I haven't watched all of it back because, I've not watched all of it back. But I have watched specific things. So I've watched people's trials and stuff like that. But I haven't watched the whole show back because I want to just have it as how I experienced it myself in there, as opposed to watching it. Does that make sense? So yeah, I've watched all the trials and that though.
And what was your relationship with the producers when you were sort of in the show? How did that work?
So before you go into the show, the producers are constantly checking up on you in your cottage that you're in, your isolation cottage, seeing if you want anything, seeing how you feel. And then when you're in there, obviously you can't really speak to the producers like that, but you do have the Telegraph. So if you're having a bad day, which you do get in there as well, or even a good day and you just want to talk about stuff, you can go into the Telegraph, speak to the Telegraph, they help out, and then they can speak to the producers as well. So everything's always sorted. You've always got someone to talk to. So you're not alone.
What if you get sick of talking to your campmates?
Yeah. You might, do you know what? I just want to go in the Telegraph and have a chat. So yeah, basically.
What was the worst trial that you faced?
The worst one for me, I mean, it wasn't a trial, it was the one that we had to go into the actual camp by, which was the plank one, because I hate heights. And I knew it was going to happen. So I had seen it get leaked and I was like, oh my God, I tried to pretend that I wasn't scared of heights, but yeah. So the plank for me was the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. The eat and try, I absolutely loved it. I'd do it again. That was my favorite thing to do. I just can't explain how happy I am that I got to do that eating trial. I actually nominated myself to do it, so
I'm going to show that clip now, because even watching it back for this, I actually felt quite sick.
What the hell? Oh my God!
It's called a sneeze burger.
Oh my God!
Take the bun. Take the lip. Take the bun off, and I'll tell you. Wow. Oh my God.
Okay, right. Oh yeah. Oh my
wow.
God, it looks like my cat's nose. It's
A big shot.
It's a cow's nose.
Oh my God.
It's a cow's nose. Now you've got to eat the
not
bit
the
on the
thing,
cocktail
Michael.
stick.
If you've just tuned in, I suggest you turn back over again.
Oh my God. Oh, sorry, I just need to... I can't even breathe. I just saw a nose. It was looking at me, but it's not even got any eyes. It's just a nose. Oh. Right, go on. I think
We're smelling you.
For me, it's Danny vomiting. Obviously, like, I'm screaming, but it's Danny. Can I just say that I thought when I first opened it, first of all, I didn't know if it was mold. And then when I actually saw it as a whole nose, I was like, oh my God. I thought like Ant and Dec was going to tell me I have to eat the whole thing. Because I saw whiskers hanging out of that box. So absolutely not. But when I realised that you just had to have the tip of the nose, that was fine. And it tasted like cold meat. Oh, cat's gone.
Yeah,
The nose, she's had
it was when you actually ate it though that you were like, oh, this is actually quite tasty.
Yeah, it was all right. Like that, the bum hole, and also the lamb foot. Like that was so fine. So it was the vomit fruit and the fermented duck egg that was just the most gross thing ever. So, yeah. Oh, she's back.
Sorry, I'm back now.
Okay, you missed a conversation about bumhole, so you're fine.
Yeah.
What was your best moment? I need to know what your best moment was, and please don't say it was that.
Well, the eating trial was sorry, it was definitely the eating trial, just because it's like such a great like thing to do on the show. Like the show is also known for the eating trial, so you can't go on it and not eat anything. That's what I thought anyway. But also just like having friends and being in a hammock and waking up, seeing Frankie's head pop up, and I'm like, what the hell? Like Saturday's crazy. S Club Junior's got a single at home. Simon farting all the time. Like I had no music in there, but the bass that was coming out of Simon's farts was just making me feel like I was alone. So, yeah,
That's the highlight of what I'm a Celebrity experience.
Yeah, and also I loved Adam. Like Adam was one of my really good friends in there, and just like building that relationship as well, and then having Mum Louise, like just the relationship building, I would say.
Well, you were amazing, and I thank you for that. I feel like you've really brought that experience to life for us. Look, so just for the benefit of our audience, you're a radio DJ, TV personality. How did you get into the industry? And do you have any advice that you would give young people trying to get in there?
So I got into it by setting up an online YouTube channel with a group of friends, and we was doing, this is about 10 years ago now, news in the UK grime and rap scene. So that was happening every week. Then after that, I did it for like a year, and then I cut up all my best bits from that, made a show reel, started sending it out to people. A lot of like times I got no's and stuff, but I think sometimes everything's all about timing as well, and not letting no's deter you. One of my favourite quotes is from Davina McCall, and Davina said that before, when she first started, she got about like 57 letters of rejection, but she didn't let it stop her. And then as she continued, all those companies have actually then gone on to employ her later on in life. So I think it's just not letting no's make you think that there's something wrong with you. Sometimes it's just all about timing, and to just keep pushing and getting to where you want to be, really. And also utilising social media. I feel like you can achieve so much by just uploading, like, you know, if you go out and do Vox Pops, if you want to be a presenter, uploading those to Insta, SoundCloud, if you want to be a DJ, putting DJ mixes on SoundCloud and making radio reels and stuff. So yeah, social media.
And what's next for you?
So I'm hosting my first TV show, solo presented, for BBC Three, and that will be coming out soon. And it's not music, it's something completely different to music as well. So that's going to be really fun. So that should be coming out just before summer, I think.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And just with that image of you eating that cow's nose, I was just going to go back to Tom, and I just want to talk to about trials on I'm a Celeb, and they're obviously integral to the format, and we all love seeing what you and the team sort of devise for our celebs to endure. Do you try and reinvent them every year, or how do you approach it every series?
Yeah, ironically, it's the one that we do every year, Celebrity Cyclone, that's always the most popular in the audience research. But yeah, apart from that, we always look to reinvent them every year. You know, there are different types of trial that we always return to. So trials involving water, heights, critters, endurance, eating and drinking. But within those categories, we'll try and come up with new ways to confront the celebrities with their fears. So exactly as Suchi said, you know, we'd never had a cow's nose before. We've got to be able to surprise both the viewers and the campmates. And it, you know, we're 21 series in, so it gets harder and harder to surprise them, especially because so many of the cast have watched so many episodes of the show. So, you know, they know it inside out. But yeah, I mean, you know, we take inspiration from literally anywhere. And I think we sort of have more freedom in the jungle. I think we've earned the right over the years to, you know, put an alien spaceship, a Wild West town, a Roman Colosseum into the middle of the jungle. I think that was less the case in the castle, where we felt we needed to be more faithful to the setting in the trials that we did. But yeah, I mean, we look for inspiration absolutely anywhere, and we're always looking for something, you know, something different that we can do.
New body parts on animals.
Oh yes.
Chris, welcome. You're trials producer.
Yeah.
How do you literally come up with these? Do you have a big team? How does it work?
So we start quite early in the year. So we usually start in summer developing the trials. And like Tom said, there's the usual kind of returning favourites that we usually start with. So we'll start with what the first trial the celebs will face when they get to the castle, because that's usually quite a big one. What's the eating trial going to be this year? So how can we do that differently? Obviously, Celebrity Cyclone we couldn't do, and the celeb without that. So we'll start with kind of what are going to be the big moments of the year and the ones the audience want to see. And then after that, it's, you know, how can we, what else can we do that's new? Like we've done 22 series or whatever it is. So there's already been a lot of trials. So it's how can we do something new? So I guess with the castle, although it was more restrictive, it gave us a really good theme that we could work with. So we'd look at, you know, what would a trial in a castle kitchen look like? What would it look like in a castle bathroom or bedroom? And then, yeah, just go from there, really.
And do you purpose them specifically for individual cast members when you know who they are?
Well, we're developing kind of before the cast has been booked or announced, so we don't really have any idea who the cast are going to be. So we have to come up with a series of trials that are going to be entertaining and doable by whoever takes it on. And then when we're in the series as well, you know, the first half of the series it's voted for by viewers, and then after that the campmates decide themselves. So we only really find out who is going to take it on about an hour before it happens. So yeah, it has to be doable by anyone.
They have to be horrific for horrific for everyone. How big is your trials team?
So the core team, we've got a series producer, a couple of producers, an assistant producer. It kind of runs like its own unit within the show. So we've got our own production team. And then on top of that as well, we'll have our own art department who are designing and building the trials. We've got our own camera team, lighting team. So that's all, we kind of run it as like a unit within the bigger show. So it's quite a big team.
And it feels like quite a sort of specific part of development and production. How did you get into that?
I guess I kind of fell into it, really. When I first started in TV, I had no idea that games was a job you could do. I think I only found out when I ended up on a show that had a games team and ended up working with them, and just realised it's quite a fun job to do. So after that, just kind of targeted shows that did games and went from there.
What's been your favourite trial that you've...
So I think last year we did a new trial, which was the drawbridge over troubled water, which was this mechanical travelator that David Ginola and Danny took part in. And that was just something we'd never done before. And it was funny. We didn't need animals or anything like that. It was just something completely new. And it was funny on top of that. So yeah, that's probably my favourite one recently.
And Tom, are Ant and Dec involved in that sort of development process? How do you work with them across those sort of format points and the trials?
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're particularly with the trials, they have very strong views on the trials because, essentially they run the trials. They're the ringmasters. They're face to face with the celebrities. So they'll have, and they've been doing it for so long. They know exactly what's likely to work and how best to do it. So as Chris said, we'll do a period of development. We'll come up with a bank of ideas and then we'll pitch it to Ant and Dec. And you kind of, it's a useful feedback process because if you can get them excited about an idea, then you know that you're on the right track with it, and then we can go away and we can work on it more. But yeah, as you'd expect, they're very involved.
And moving away from bugs and snakes and sort of eating cows' noses to a completely different sort of set of challenges. Over to you, Mike, on Love Island. In fact, I might just play this clip first. Could we have the second clip, please?
The aim of the game is for the boys to transfer the entire contents of a Sunday roast to a plate via their partner. The winners are the couple who creates the most appetising plate of grub. In round 1, the boys lob slices of chicken at the girls and they have to catch it without using their hands.
I do like chicken, but we don't usually fling it on people's tits. Right, you need to get it on!
Right, let's do it.
Go! Normally I'm not a meat on the face kind of girl, but yeah, apparently I am now.
Wonderful. Mike, how do the challenges fit in with the Love Island format?
I mean, how to follow that? Essentially, I mean, you can see there, it's like, for us on our show, it's a bit of fun, it's a bit of escapism, there's a lot of innuendo, and also, where else do you see people throwing meat and substitute at people? Don't see very often. But I think they fit in really crucially to our show because it breaks up the kind of storytelling and sometimes helps drive that story. So it kind of does both for us as a mechanic. It gets you out of the villa, it gets you having a laugh, it gets them a bit mucky, a bit fun. There's been some amazing challenges in the past, but I think they're really crucial to the show now. And I think the viewers seem to love them.
I do, and I think what's really brilliant about them is they never take themselves too seriously, and I think that's sort of the show doesn't take itself too seriously either, and you've just so many laughs in there.
Yeah.
What's been the craziest challenge that you've ever done on Love Island?
Ooh.
You can pick one.
God, I mean, Tom, you might have to help me here. I think I can't remember the name of it. It was Series 5, and it was a wedding one. Do you remember Amy Hart?
Yes.
And she was down the aisle, and
it descended into complete carnage food fight, didn't it?
Chaos. There was wedding cake everywhere, veils, everything, and it was just it was one of those things where you sit in a viewing and you're howling and you're watching it and you're like, this is the funniest thing I think I've ever seen, for no reason at all. But also it had some story because there was some relationship tension which came out with the cake being thrown. So it was a really fun challenge, but that was crazy, I think.
And using them as story drivers, I guess, is really important as well. And overall, crafting stories out of the reality that you've got for every episode is such a skill across both shows. And do you have a story team, Tom, on I'm a Celeb and Love Island?
Yeah, no, we do on both shows, and they're a sort of similar setup. So on I'm a Celebrity, we have a team of gallery producers who basically watch everything that happens in camp 24 hours a day. So they're essentially our front line, and they're always on the lookout for stories. They will be the ones who will decide what we're following in the first instance, and then they create a written breakdown of any story, with all the details of the footage that sort of will be needed to tell that story, the interviews in the Bush Telegraph or the Beach Hut, and that gets sent over to the edit. And then our team of edit producers will build those VTs, and they'll be looking for extra footage that might just help to tell the story in a better way, make it more impactful, make it clearer. So that's how the structure sort of essentially works.
And can you ever sort of predict the stories that you think are going to come out, or are you just ready to sort of capture whatever happens?
I think you can sometimes see the direction that things might head in, but no, you have to be, as a gallery producer, you have to be absolutely poised, and because we have a lot of cameras, and we have 2 streams that we can follow stories on. So at any one time there will be a story on our A stream and a story on our B stream, but obviously there is likely to be more stuff going on either in the camp or in the villa, and so the gallery team need to be kind of eagle-eyed and constantly flicking through mics and just trying to keep track of, because something can come out of nothing. A story can suddenly happen almost without any warning, and you've got to be able to kind of just find that, and then, because the hardest thing is when you miss the start of something.
Yeah,
how on earth do you tell
that? It's about finding something early enough, isn't it, and deciding, I think that's going to develop. I think we can start following it now.
Yeah,
that's going to become the story.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just going to show another quick clip of the fallout of Casa Amor, which is obviously one of our favourite moments of Love Island. Can we play clip 3, please?
Hi, girls.
Hello.
Used to be together every day together.
How are you all?
Great.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
My Irish ladies.
You know.
How are you feeling?
Shocked.
Shocked?
Yeah.
Why are you shocked?
I feel like I had a good connection the second I got in there. And I feel like it was very reciprocated. Very 50-50. And yeah, I'm just really surprised I'm standing here right now.
Who did you have a connection with?
Liam.
What made you feel like you had that connection, Lily?
I feel like the actions were pretty equal, sharing the bed together, kissing outside of challenges.
Fuck. Oh, you're fucking joking. Fuck. Oh. What the fuck? What's wrong with you? Kissing outside of a challenge.
Aspetta.
It's fucking disgusting.
Oh, Mike!
So amazing. Amazing storytelling.
I mean, I'm pleased to report, because I'm seeing them next week, that Millie and Liam are still very much a couple and they live together now. So, yeah. Despite that kiss outside the challenge, they are strongly together.
I mean, that was one of my favourite moments from last series, to sort of sit there at the edge of your seat. You almost couldn't write it, and such an example of storytelling.
It was the same for us in the gallery. I mean, when we love Casa Amor, we've done it for a few series now, and we are making the show and we are screaming at the screens as we are making it. We can't believe it happens. And I think that storyline, Casa Amor, has become the ultimate relationship test, and as a format works perfect on a dating show like Love Island. So we absolutely love it, and the drama, touchwood, is always there. The love is always there. It's a good format point.
And sort of loop it sort of back round to the beginning. Tom, when we talked about how you retain particularly younger audiences series on series, you talked about sort of being reactive and responsive to what's happening, particularly looking at social media. How reactive can you be to things that are happening outside of the show? On, like, for example, I'm a Celebrity.
Well, I think on both shows, but I mean, on I'm a Celebrity, it's slightly different, and it will often be because it's a bubble, and so we don't sort of want to allow too much of the outside world into it. But I guess in Ant and Dec's links, you see where we can be reactive, and that's the beauty of of a fast turnaround show. You know, they're rewriting and tweaking their links literally right up until seconds before they're delivering them, and that gives it an immediacy and allows it to feel like event TV. And on Love Island, you know, social media has become it is a very valuable tool for us. It allows us to kind of temperature check what viewers are thinking, and very few other shows get the chance to do that because they're post-produced, they're packaged up, and they're sent out and transmitted. And whereas we get the ability to, you know, a show goes out, we can immediately see what people are saying about it and what they think should happen next, what they want to happen next, or where they think we're going to go. And that's a really valuable tool, because then we can choose, is that where we're going to go, or actually are we going to do the complete opposite of it? You know, what are people saying they want? Around the movie night challenge that we did in the last series, there was a lot of sort of build up to that in terms of people wanting to certain bits of information to get into the villa, and so it gave us a chance to think about, right, okay, how do we do that, and allowed us to come up with a challenge and a format point that delivered that in a way that felt absolutely right for the show. So to be, when as a fast turnaround show, you have the ability to react in a way that you just don't on other shows. That's amazing. And I want to say thank you all for being on the panel. I just wanted to finish with a really good example of that. Thank you, everyone. If we could just play that final clip, please.
There's all change in Camp Nou, because yesterday the celebs chose a new leader via the gift of a secret vote.
And that means David's reign is over. But they weren't celebrating. No. They didn't have a party. They categorically deny any suggestions that they had a party. And this fictional party definitely didn't involve cheese and wine or a secret Santa.
Evening, Prime Minister. For now.
Still relevant. Still playing out today. A brilliant example of sort of how you can react sort of with immediacy to what's going around in the world in a fast sort of turnaround show. Brilliant. Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining. I feel like that's been a real sort of whiz tour through I'm a Celebrity and Love Island. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you.